Welcome to Hannity. Buckle up. Busy night tonight. The radical socialist field, 2020 Democrats, is a dumpster fire filled with hypocritical far-left candidates who are willing to do and say anything for power. Coming up tonight, we will have full coverage of this, well, frankly, now really disturbing field of politicians, including one unhinged candidate, maybe you can guess who it is, who's ready to lock up American gun owners if they do not turn their weapons over to the federal government. But first, let's turn our attention to a very important Hannity watch as we investigate tonight the investigators. Now, tonight, the tide is turning dramatically. After Thursday of this week, the gig is up for the hate Trump media mob, their Democratic allies, who for over 2.5 years have been pushing their tinfoil hat conspiracy theories and outright lies about collusion. Now, they don't know it yet, but it's done. It is over. It is finished. No collusion, no obstruction. Yeah, there's going to be a few that cling to a few sentences, offer more lies, more fake news, more fake legal analysis. But in the end, they are forever exposed for the liars and partisan hacks that they are. They have put this country in danger, our constitutional republic in danger. Now, on Thursday, the Mueller report will be released by the Attorney General Barr, and with only minor, legally mandated redactions, and it will be what is the final nail in the coffin to the credibility of America's biggest Russia collusion conspiracy theorists. It's over. They don't know it yet. Now, that includes so-called reporters at the Washington Post and the New York Times. They actually won a Pulitzer Prize in 2018 for perpetrating a hoax. Now, that prize, frankly, should be revoked. I think it could be rewarded to the real journalists, the real investigative reporters that we have every night on this show and on my radio show. The people who have been right the entire time, all along, exposing layer by layer every single issue involving what is the biggest abuse of power corruption scandal in history. The only difference is they have real evidence that has been reported over the course of 2 years on this show. And unlike so many in the media mob, we are not blinded by hate. We follow the truth, the evidence, due process. Now, sadly, the same cannot be said about the media mob. Now, they reported their anti-Trump garbage, lies, propaganda over and over and over again with their anonymous sources. And, of course, they're just doing the Democrats' bidding. They're tied at the hip, manufactured crisis. And on Thursday, they will do it predictably one last time with all the phony, lying outrage they'll be able to manufacture. Now, they want to bludgeon President Trump, which has been their goal all along, by any and all means necessary, and they have only 1 day left. And by the way, just breaking moments ago, Sarah Carter's reporting that 3 of those Democrats, Congressman Elijah Cummings, Maxine Waters, and the cowardly Adam Schiff, actually signed a secret pact behind closed doors, vowing to target President Trump and subpoena all of his financial and banking records. Oh, by the way, which means more evidence they've even moved on from collusion. Now, this letter obtained by Sarah Carter from Congressman Jim Jordan, it is now raising serious concern over this secret agreement to take down a president. And according to a congressional source, quote, this is not how committees normally operate. The Democrats aren't interested in legislating, only attacking the president. Sarah Carter will join us in a moment and give us that full report. But that's what the president's up against and has been up against from day one. Now, if the president cured cancer tonight and gave every American $5 million and adopted their sick agenda, they would still hate him. Here's my prediction. When the Mueller report is released on Thursday, the same people that have lied all along, they're just going to find something, anything in the report to bludgeon the president. By the way, it's not going to work again. Many on the left are already speculating that the 30-plus hours of testimony from former White House counsel Don McCann is going to be the linchpin, providing the damning evidence of wrongdoing. Okay, let's do something the media mob won't do. Let's take an honest look at truth and facts. We know for a fact the special counsel found no Russia collusion between Trump or anyone in his campaign. As a matter of fact, we have the quote from the Mueller report right here. This is from the Mueller report. The investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. No collusion. We also know for a fact that 3 previous investigations also cleared the president. And when it comes to the claims that the president obstructed justice, we also know for a fact that Mueller did not charge the president with obstruction. And we know that Barr, Rod Rosenstein, the DOJ's nonpartisan Office of Legal Counsel, and yes, in conjunction with talking to the Mueller team, cleared the president from any charges. It's a fact that President Trump did not fire Mueller. They're going to say, well, he wanted to fire him, but he didn't. He's going to say, well, he wanted to fire Rod Rosenstein and Jeff Sessions. Okay, he didn't. He didn't impede any investigation anywhere. He didn't interfere with General Flynn's case, except wishing that he wouldn't get in trouble, and he got in trouble. And as Comey said, the president has the right to fire him for any reason or no reason at all. Now, did the president talk about these things? Yep. Did he talk about them a lot? Yep. The witch hunt, the Democrats on Mueller's team firing Sessions, Rosenstein, and hoping that General Flynn, a 33-year military hero, wouldn't get hurt. Kind of like all the deep state guys. They talked an awful lot about things, too, like wearing a wire to spy on the president. They talked about trying to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove a duly elected president. Well, they didn't do it, but they talked about it a lot. So if a president expresses frustration, just like those FBI DOJ guys, about being investigated or them not getting their political way over a serious crime that he didn't commit, it's not obstruction. Also, there's no intent. Very important as it relates to the law. Calling out the Trump-hating Democrats who Mueller appointed to probe this whole thing, that is not obstruction. Frankly, that was the right thing to do. And last but not least, firing Comey, not obstruction. And by the way, here's the good news. President Trump summed it up perfectly when he tweeted out, Mueller, the AG, and the AG, based on Mueller findings and great intelligence, have already ruled no collusion, no obstruction. These crimes were committed by Crooked Hillary, the DNC, dirty cops, and others. Investigate the investigators, which we have been doing. Now, the tables have finally turned. This is their last rubber bullet, and it'll hit, and it'll fall to the ground, and it's all over. Now, the Wall Street Journal's Bill McGurn, smart guy, calling for a grand jury, he's right, to investigate bad actors that are in the deep state and abuse power. Quote, if the Federal Bureau of Investigation is to recover its lost reputation. By the way, I don't agree with that. Not rank and file, upper echelon. The first item on Attorney General Bill Barr's agenda must be to make good on something that set off a frenzy when he proposed it last week. An honest accounting of the FBI spying. Yes, they spied on Trump. They did, many times, many ways. Anyway, the Attorney General has already vowed to establish a team, thankfully, to investigate our federal government spying on the Trump campaign. Great article today by Andrew McCarthy, who will join us in a few minutes, detailing some of this potentially illicit surveillance, writing, quote, less than a year ago, we learned the Obama administration had used a confidential informant to spy, to approach at least 3 Trump campaign officials in the months leading up to the 2016 election, straining to find proof that the campaign was complicit in the Kremlin's hacking of Democratic emails. Now, of course, Andy McCarthy is referring to Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, and Sam Clovis, who were all approached by an informant with the name of Stefan Halper. That's only the tip of the iceberg. Trump's campaign associate Carter Page was also electronically surveilled. By the way, can somebody teach Comey what that means? After Comey and others signed off on that FISA application, the bulk of information coming from the unverified, unverifiable, uncorroborated, dirty Russian dossier paid for by Hillary Clinton. And let's not forget about the nearly 350% increase in unmasking requests by top Obama officials in the election year of 2016. What did Obama know? When did he know it? By the way, Strzok and Page say all the decisions were made by Loretta Lynch. What did she know? When did she know it? Also, I think Susan Rice has questions to answer. Brennan, Clapper, even creepy Uncle Joe. What did they all know? When did they all know it? Now, soon we'll begin to have the answers to these important questions. In a letter to the Director of National Intelligence, Congressman Jim Jordan, Congressman Mark Meadows, they have now requested that 53, we've only got like 7, 53 closed-door testimony transcripts be made public. I'm sure Jerry Nadler will join them because he didn't want the release of the Starr report. Now, already we have received the testimony of Bruce Orr, Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, James Baker, other FBI and DOJ officials who were involved in the witch hunt, and it was against Donald Trump. The free pass given, of course, they literally gave a get-out-of-jail-free card because they liked Hillary. They thought the guy that interviewed her, Peter Strzok, she should win $100 million to zero. Yet she committed real crimes. And we have a massive amount of top-secret classified material that was found on that unsecured private server that was managed by Platte River Networks. It was in a bathroom closet. She committed a real crime and thus had a real intent to obstruct justice by destroying the evidence of that crime. Hence, the 33,000 deleted, acid-washed emails. Now, the media on Thursday, they're going to pretend they care about obstruction of justice. Meanwhile, all of them will ignore the biggest slam dunk obstruction of justice case in history. That's right, Hillary's case. And just like Democrats, remember, they believed all the Kavanaugh accusers. They believe. But their silence is now deafening when it comes to the lieutenant governor of Virginia. Oh, he's been accused of rape and violent sexual assault. So where are all the I believers? You know, obstruction matters, but only if it's Trump, not Hillary Clinton. Charges of rape, serious sexual assault, only matters if you're appointed by Trump, but not the Democratic lieutenant governor of Virginia. Look at your screen. A clear violation of the Espionage Act, 18 U.S.C. 793. There's the law. Why was Hillary cleared? Because the investigation was rigged. Why did Comey and Strzok start writing an exoneration in May? They didn't interview her till July. Why did they take out gross negligence, the legal standard, and replace it with extreme carelessness? Why did Peter Strzok allow two other people in the interview room when he was interviewing Clinton on July 2nd, 2016, and Comey exonerated her on July 5th? They had written that first in May. What did Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch really talk about on that secret meeting on a tarmac in Phoenix just before Hillary's was cleared? Did Lynch, the FBI, did they work in concert together to clear the Clintons? Did they rig that investigation when it's obvious she committed multiple felonies because she was the one that should win $100 million to zero and Trump supporters were nothing but smelly Walmart voters? From Hillary Clinton's rigged investigation to spying on the Trump campaign to committing a fraud and FISA abuse to unmasking American citizens and abusing the powerful tools of intelligence to everything in between, we will now finally get the answers. I know the media won't go there because then they'd have to admit they were wrong. They won't apologize. They won't retract. They won't say, geez, Hannity and his ensemble cast got it right. Don't hold your breath. We're going to have a lot more on this throughout the show. But first, we also must report tonight on our Hannity Watch on the radical socialist 2020 Democrats. It's been a very revealing week for some of the far-left sycophants trying to become president. We start with the current mayor of South Bend, Indiana. Yes, that guy, Mayor Pete. Oh, Peter Buttigieg is his name, who said that the Electoral College is just one big Republican manipulation of the system. Okay, watch this.
If we realized that this would be a fairer place if everyone's vote counted the same, and if the way we picked our president was to tally up all the votes and give it to the person who got the most votes, then now is a moment to make that change. Most Americans don't want this. Most Americans don't want the conservative agenda that we're now seeing, the extreme agenda that we're seeing in Washington. In fact, it is precisely for that reason that they have to interfere with democracy with things like voter suppression or clinging on an electoral college that overrules the will of the American people. It is precisely because the American people, by and large, don't want what they're selling, that they are relying on manipulations of our political structure in order to keep their agenda in play.
All right, let me educate Mayor Buttigieg for a moment. If he wants the good people of his home state of Indiana to have a voice in the presidential election, I like the people from Indiana, he should probably rethink what is his unconstitutional stance on the Electoral College, because without our current system, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and California, they would decide every national contest. His state of Indiana, and for that matter, New Hampshire, Iowa, South Carolina, all those red states down south, they would be totally ignored. It wouldn't matter. Is that what the good mayor wants? Now, sadly, Mayor Pete is not the only Democrat trampling on the U.S. Constitution. California Congressman Eric Swalwell, well, he's actually running on an anti-Second Amendment agenda. Look at this. Now, first he suggested the federal government could easily disarm Americans because it has nukes. Okay? But on Sunday, he took it down a notch and said that he just supports jailing Americans who don't comply with his plan to seize guns that he classifies as dangerous. Here comes the government. Get ready. Take a look.
criminal prosecution for keeping assault weapons. What's the punishment for people who don't hand in their guns? Do they go to jail?
Well, Jake, they would. The reason I have proposed this is because these weapons are so devastating. I've seen this as a prosecutor in the cases that I've prosecuted. We've seen these in the school shootings from Sandy Hook to Parkland, and I was just at Parkland earlier this week doing a town hall there. But it's not just the violence that they've caused, it's the fear, the immeasurable fear that our children live in because they are still on our streets. I want to get rid of that fear. I want to do what Australia did and New Zealand just recently did. I think this issue just needs some bold leadership to do it.
I want to get rid of the fear of you not understanding the Constitution or wanting to stack the courts, or Bernie Sanders last night on this network actually suggesting, oh, yeah, a woman could have an abortion up to the last minute, like during birth. Or, as the Virginia governor said, first we'll deliver the baby, make sure the baby's comfortable, then mom gets to decide. The baby gets resuscitative help if needed.